name is Maria Zamora. I am an assistant professor at Oregon State University and irrigation specialist statewide. I work with multiple producers across the state on irrigation efficiency and water conservation practices. And today I'm going to cover some of the technologies and the sensors that are available for growers to take or make decisions based on data. So before I get into that, I'm going to cover some of the principles about irrigation scheduling. So what irrigation scheduling is pretty much the amount and the frequency of the water. How much and when do I have to apply water? And in order to understand that, we have to take into consideration three components: our soils, our plant, and our irrigation systems. Pretty much like the soil is going to be your storage. Imagine like a bucket. How much water you can hold in that bucket for the plants to uptake. The plants is at what stage? Like, is it seed? Is it like growing canopy? Is it putting efforts into the fruit? What are the requirements of the whole growth stage in terms of water? So we need to understand those needs in order to determine how much and when to irrigate. And then the last one is the irrigation systems. How are we going to deliver the water to the plants? So I'll focus on the soils because we're going to be talking about soil moisture sensors today. Today I have a couple sensors, but first I'm going to just draw a couple of the different soil types. So imagine if we have a bucket and that's your soil. So we have a bucket here with sandy soil, and the sandy soils have like bigger particles, and those particles are seen to our eyes. So when we irrigate, water percolates very quickly. However, if we have, on the other hand, a clay soil, then the particle sizes are just very tiny and they get clustered together. So when we irrigate, water starts like moving laterally and moves very slowly versus like a sandy soil that moves very quickly. So understanding this is very important to really understand how frequently and how much water we have to do. In a sandy soil, we're going to do much more frequent irrigation applications versus clay. And so now we're gonna install our sensors. We want to know how much water they are going to, like the plants are uptaking at different crop growing stages to determine how much water we're going to put. So there are multiple sensors in the market, and one of them is the tensiometer. So as the name infers, it is a device like this that has a gauge and a tube that it has water on it. We have to put water in it, and depending on the depth of where we want to install them, which we want to install them at the effective root zone, it has this tip that is made of ceramic. So pretty much when you install it, it's gonna do or act as an artificial root. So as water gets depleted in the soil, water from the device is gonna move out due to the gradient and is gonna create suction here, and you can measure here with this gauge. So as water get more depleted and there is much more deficit in the soil, then this gauge is going to read higher pressures. So the higher the pressure, pretty much the more water that is leaving from the device to the soil, meaning that there's not much water in the soil. So this is like an indicator of what the plant's effort in terms of like uptaking that water. So closer to zero, meaning plenty of water. Like the higher number, the higher effort that the plants need to do to uptake that water. The other sensor that is in the market is this one. So we have volumetric water content. And these type of sensors are also installed at the effective root zone. And in general, you collect data with a data logger, so these are easy to use. And the data that you can collect with these ones is a percentage. So it's a percentage of water within that volume of soil. And all these sensors are going to give data. Like, we're going to understand what that data means. So if we have a sensor, this is kind of the data that we're going to obtain. So let's say you're going to irrigate today. So this is irrigation, and you're measuring volumetric water content. So the data is going to start increasing after irrigation, and then it's going to start decreasing as part of drainage, right? And then due to the water uptake of the plant, you're going to start seeing like an effect like this. It's like a stepper, kind of like goes down and stabilizes, goes down, stabilizes. So what happens is when it goes down is, well, we have our plants, and plants underneath them have these little stomata in which they're going to move water out as part of the transpiration process. It's kind of like when we are like transpiring too. Water moves out of our system. This is water that goes to the atmosphere. And then the same way that they can uptake CO2 for photosynthesis. So during the day, water is moved out, and this water is reflected here as a depletion of moisture in our data. And then during the night, so this is the day, and during the night, almost no transpiration. These stomata start closing, and no more water is going out to the atmosphere, so it stabilizes in no depletion. So this is the night. And then the next day continues. So we're going to see data like here, like that, in which is going to be depleted, right? So, so when water stabilizes here, is there no more drainage? This is what we call field capacity. And then we're going to allow water from the soil to be depleted to a critical point that it's called maximum allowable depletion. So we're going to allow this water to go down to this point, and then we know that if we pass this point, we're in trouble, so we have to irrigate. Here, there's another, like we have to irrigate before it reaches there so it can go up again. And we're going to allow like depletion again. So these maximum level depletion in terms of percentage is about like 50% of the total amount of water. So this is like field capacity. This is maximum allowable depletion. If I allow the depletion to be 100%, for example, it will be a permanent wilting point. And this is where we want to avoid. This is pretty much zero water available to the plants because water adheres directly into the particles of the soil, that there's no more water available to the plants to uptake. So with the soil moisture sensors, we can measure and monitor moisture levels and make decisions. But let's say, for example, rainfall would happen here, volumetric water content, or the moisture of the soil is going to increase here. So we wouldn't actually irrigate, right? Because this is going to be depleted later. So maybe irrigation is going to happen here. So with all this data, we can make better decisions, monitor what's happening at the soil level, and really irrigate when it's needed and avoid irrigation when it's not needed because there's enough water available for the plants.